want to, just throw the switch. All right, are we ready? Good morning. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for your patience. As many of you know, over the last 2 years, the Philadelphia DA's office, in partnership with the Philadelphia Sheriff's Office and Philadelphia Police, has hosted regular press conferences around the city highlighting some of the most wanted fugitives on homicide cases. And we've done it in several different parts of the city. Today, we are delighted to be here with State Senator Art Haywood in the Northwest and with his staff. We know that they care deeply about the issues of modern enforcement, prevention, and robust victim support for families and communities impacted by gun violence. Senator Haywood has proved that time and time again in all kinds of different ways. He will be speaking later, and I hope when he does, he's going to talk about the work that he has been so successful in doing in coordinating different nonprofit groups that do important work around gun violence issues. The purpose of the press conference today is, number one, to ensure that families who are still waiting for the capture of their loved one's killer continue to understand how hard the Philadelphia Police Department works on these cases, how hard the DA's office and our federal partners work on these cases. Just because someone has run away does not mean we intend to tolerate that. And so we have been doing these conferences for quite some time, and we've had quite a bit of success in seeing the people whose faces appear in this conference in a jail cell, which is where they need to be until their cases are decided, at least. Number two, we need the community's help and support with tips and information that will lead to the capture and arrest of wanted fugitives. There are services and support for witnesses who come forward, and those services include relocation support. We're not going to tolerate the intimidation or the harm of any witnesses or family members, survivors, co-survivors, anybody, by people who are fugitives or are close to those fugitives. The sheriff is here, and I know that she'll have something to say about grandma and grandpa and uncle and everybody else who might have a fugitive in the home. Well, after today, you're going to know who to kick out, because I'll just leave it for the sheriff to say, but we all know she's going to say something very interesting. While we affirm and acknowledge local and national trends that are positive when it comes to reductions in gun violence, we still have a lot of work to do to secure justice for these families, and it is exactly this work that is contributing to the reductions that we are seeing nationally and locally in terms of gun violence. As I mentioned, we have with us today Sheriff Rochelle Bilal of the Philadelphia Sheriff's Office, who has been a tremendous partner, and I hope will explain how some of her sheriffs actually captured a fugitive in the last couple of weeks, carrying out their duties. We have State Senator Art Haywood of Senate District Number 4, an old friend of mine and an old friend of this office who's done incredible work to try to make Philadelphia safer. We have Thomas Walsh, Lieutenant in Philadelphia Police Department's Homicide Unit, and he is here with Inspector Ray Evers of the Philadelphia Police Department Investigations Division. I do not see First Assistant Robert Listenby here yet, no doubt because he's doing something terribly important. But we have ADA Joanne Pescator here, who is the chief of the DAO's Homicide Non-Fatal Shooting Unit, and we also have Deborah Watson-Stokes, who is a senior advisor in the DA's office and engages in a lot of special projects having to do with gun violence. Without further ado, it is my pleasure at this time to call up Joanne Pescator and Lieutenant Thomas Walsh, who will guide us through images of these 10 different fugitives. They are all, with the possible exception of one, these are all fugitives from homicides that occurred in the Northwest.
Thank you, DA Krasner. Good morning. We have 10 fugitives that we're going to highlight today, myself and Lieutenant Walsh. I would ask anyone if you have any information about these fugitives, Lieutenant Walsh will give you that information. The first one that we're going to highlight is Justin Akins. Mr. Akins is wanted for the death of Tyree Morrell, who was a 4-month-old child. That happened back in September of 2022. The victim was pronounced on September 11th of 2022. A warrant was issued for Mr. Akins on March 9th of 2023. If you have any information about his whereabouts, please call the police. Next is Hanif Ali. This is the murder of Randy Mills, who was a 15-year-old boy. Mr. Mills was killed on May 25th of 2023 at 5231 Germantown Avenue here in Philadelphia. He suffered a gunshot wound to the chest and he was later pronounced at the hospital. Hanif Ali's warrant was gotten on October 11th of 2023. If anyone has any information about his whereabouts, please call the police. Okay. Daniel Brown. Mr. Brown is wanted for the murder of Neil Moore, a 35-year-old gentleman. This murder took place on May 24th of 2023 at 2:45 p.m. at 1567th Avenue. Mr. Moore sustained multiple gunshot wounds and was later pronounced. A warrant for Daniel Brown was obtained on May 31st of 2023. Armand Hilton. Mr. Hilton is wanted for the murder of Natifia Wade. This was a female on October 7th of 2023. She was going to her barber shop that morning at 2511 West Lehigh Avenue, where she encountered the defendant, and she suffered multiple gunshot wounds and was later pronounced. Mr. Hilton's warrant was gotten on October 10th of 2023. If you have any information about him, please call the police. Tyvon Jones. Tyvon Jones is wanted in connection with a grand jury that was done by our office. A warrant was gotten for him on June 25th of 2024. This incident happened, it was the murder of Wesley Rodwell, a 20-year-old male who was shot to death at 1600 West Erie Avenue back in May of 2022. He suffered multiple gunshot wounds. Tyvon Jones is wanted in connection with this murder, along with others who already have been arrested. Next is Isaac King Payton. Mr. Payton is wanted for the murder of Tamir Coker Ruffin, a 19-year-old male who was shot to death on February 2nd of 2024 at Locust and Bloyd Street here in Philadelphia. The male was shot one time in the back. He was later pronounced at Einstein Hospital. There have been other arrests in this case. However, Isaac King Payton is in fact the shooter, and a warrant was gotten for him on March 5th of 2024. Robert Laurie. This male has been wanted for approximately 2 years. He's wanted for the death of Shamir Collier, a 19-year-old male who was killed on November 21st of 2020 at 11 o'clock at night at 100 West Queen Lane here in Philadelphia. Mr. Collier suffered multiple gunshot wounds to his body and was later pronounced. A warrant was gotten for Robert Lowry on February 1st of 2023. Christopher Sanders. Mr. Sanders is the person that's wanted the longest of the 10 that we are announcing today. Mr. Sanders is wanted for the murder of Nassim Alim, and that occurred on September 12th of 2018 at noon at 5145 D Street here in Philadelphia. The victim suffered from multiple gunshot wounds and was later pronounced. Christopher Sanders, a warrant was obtained for him on October 22nd of 2019. If you know where Mr. Sanders is, please call the police. Desmond Stevens. Mr. Stevens is wanted for the murder of Gregory Dennis Felder and the shooting of a female that was with Mr. Felder at that time. Mr. Felder was 33 years old, and he was shot to death on April 22nd of 2024 at 5454 North 5th Street outside of LB's Lounge. Mr. Felder sustained multiple gunshot wounds and was later pronounced at the hospital. A warrant was gotten for Mr. Stevens 2 days later on April 24th of 2024. Darian Turner. Mr. Turner is wanting for the beating death of Mark Jennings, a 54-year-old male who was beaten to death on February 1st of 2024 outside of 2746 North Ringgold Street here in Philadelphia. The victim in this case, Mr. Jennings, suffered blunt impact injuries and was later pronounced at the hospital. A warrant was obtained for Darian Turner on May 22nd of 2024.
We're just asking the public, if you see these gentlemen that ADA Pescator just described on the street, there's three methods to contact us. You could call 911 and the police will come out immediately. You could submit a tip through 215-686-TIPS, or you can submit a tip through the Philly Most Wanted website. That's philliesmostwanted.org.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant, and thank you, ADA Pescator. It is now my pleasure to call forward a tremendous partner in our efforts in Philadelphia, and that is our Sheriff, Rochelle Bilal.
Good morning. We are happy to work together, collaborate with the DA's office and also the Philadelphia Police Department. But we need your help. We need the community's help. You see those that are wanted. We also have a priority list on the phillysheriff.com website, which is linked with the same people that you see here today. Some people don't even know these people are wanted. So we do these press conferences to let you know that these people are wanted, and if they are in your house, or you know them, or you see them, there's a place to report this information. Some of you let them in your house and you don't know they want it. When you see this, let us know. Because the one thing you don't want this smoke coming up in your house. We are working together to get people off our streets, to keep our communities safe. Our deputy sheriff just a couple of weeks arrested a person wanted for murder because they was walking around Center City. So we need your help. Grandma, like you say, auntie, uncle, cousin, look at these people who are walking around our streets. They are wanted for murder. That means they won't hesitate to do murder again. So we need your help. The community needs your help. We need your help. Just let us know.
Thank you, Sheriff, and it is now my pleasure to introduce State Senator Art Haywood, who I hope will not only have his usual wisdom to share with us, but tell us a little bit about the tremendous effort and a very, very successful effort that we see in the Northwest to bring together all sorts of different approaches to knocking down gun violence.
So first of all, I want to thank you, Larry, for bringing this to the Northwest. Because all of the most wanted fugitives that have been highlighted have victimized people in the Northwest. The survivors are here, their parents, their relatives, and we all have dignity. whether black, brown, white, however you might identify, all of the survivors have dignity that's got to be lifted up. Sheriff Bilal has shared how we have to work together in order to address the challenge. I had a tremendous conversation with the district attorney and his team about various methods of finding and catching people. And I want folks to know that you will be caught. You are going to be caught by this tremendous group of detectives and police department, but it's not just law enforcement that's going to protect our community. We are asking every neighbor, every relative to help us with the safety. We can't have a safe community with these most wanted individuals in our homes, in our basements, in our living rooms, in our barber shops. We have to turn these individuals in. Now, we look at this as a bigger challenge than just turning people in. Here in the Northwest, we have a tremendous organization of nonviolent gun violence prevention organizations. We're here with Ceasefire. They have offices here. They are a tremendous partner encouraging individuals to put the guns down. We have P3, a tremendous partner that is taking individuals who are high risk of being shooters or shot and putting them through a 4-part program where they can move all the way into employment, out of the violence in which they have grown up. We have Emir, another tremendous partner that is focusing on helping survivors with mental health. And these are part of a series of organizations that come together on a weekly basis, sometimes bi-weekly, to discuss the challenges and the solutions and not operate in silos. I'm glad to say that my office is a core part of the coordination. And I certainly want to thank Jude Hussein, who's working with my office and the Save Our Lives Coalition to be part of the coming together. But finally, I had to ask the community, as our sheriff has and as all the other speakers have as well. This is a joint obligation. This is a community obligation for safety. If you know of someone who is on this list, please contact the tip line. Please contact the tip line. It's on us to have a safe community. We can do it, but we need you to participate. Thank you again for all the law enforcement that is here. Thank you for all the community organizations that are trying to prevent these kinds of crimes and bring our whole community into the peace that we so desperately desire. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And before we go to question and answer, I do want to thank our hosts here at Braid Mill. Having lived in the Northwest 26 years, where my kids went to school, it's just nice to see a structure like this being saved. It's nice to see it filling up with different kinds of businesses and different kinds of nonprofits that are doing incredibly important work. As you walk out of this room, the first thing you're going to see is a door with the word Ceasefire on it, where there's a very important organization that actually occupies 2 different spaces in this building. This is what it looks like when community is coming together, when we are not tearing down, when we are building up, when we are saving what is good in a city that we all know to be wonderful, but a city that requires our protection, our help, and our vigilance every day. All right, and at this time, in no particular order, so please, don't get mad. I will call on everyone, I guarantee it. Maggie Kent from 6ABC and team.
Hi. Just got an update from X, Frank Manure, saying that regarding this triple murder and shooting that happened on the 1200 block of North Alden Street, there has been an arrest made. Can you provide us any insight about this recent arrest?
We have no comment at this time. This is a very active investigation. We have no comment at this time. Do you have another question, Ms. Kent?
It's in regards to the bicyclist that was struck and killed on Center Street. Are there any charges forthcoming on that case?
Thank you for that question. I'm going to ask ADA Pescator, who has some specifics, to address that.
Hi. So the matter is still under investigation, waiting toxicology and other results of testing. I can't tell you how long that's going to take, but hopefully shortly.
All right, thank you. Cristobal Mora from 10 Telemundo. Do it later? Okay, thank you. 17 PHL, please forgive me. I don't want to butcher your last name. Ian, what's your last name?
I said I didn't have any questions.
Okay, but it's Rauenbuehler?
Rauenbuehler.
All right, very good. My wife's last name is Rao, so that part I got. All right, Kelly Rule, Channel 29 Fox.
How do you prioritize? I know that they're all the victims are all more or less, but how do you prioritize an individual? Why are these taxes including high?
I'm going to ask Lieutenant Walsh and ADA Pescator to address that.
We would target these people because they're the most difficult to find. Multiple addresses have been searched, and they're in the wind. So they have no permanent address to go and serve a warrant or actually look for them. That's the way the sheriff said. They're in the basements of their aunts, they're in the kitchens of their uncles, they're staying at their grandparents' house. So we hope that we get their picture out, somebody sees them walking down the street, walking down Center City, calls 911, submits a tip, and that way we can actually apprehend them.
Reason to believe they're all in Philadelphia though, or not?
Well, it's hard to say. So we were just talking before we came out here. There was a man that we brought back that we highlighted before. He was found in California, so his preliminary hearing will be coming up. There's another person that we highlighted a few months ago. He was just down in Puerto Rico, so he'll be coming back from Puerto Rico to Philadelphia, and he'll be facing a preliminary hearing. So some of those cases happened years ago. It just is, you get lucky sometimes when you find these people. You get a tip, something, but these are the people that are wanted in this particular area for the crimes. So that's why we're highlighting them.
All right, Mr. Dean from the Trace.
How many homicide fugitives are there right now in Philadelphia that you have names attached to the
In the last 90 days, we've arrested 48 fugitives, and we acquired 47 more. So I don't have the exact number year to date, how many are actually in fugitive status, but over the last 90 days, we've got an additional 47.
The last 90 days you've arrested 47?
We've arrested 48, and we've acquired another 47 in fugitive status. Yes, 47 warrants, 48 arrests, not those 47 warrants. We've made 48 arrests in the last 90 days of fugitives, and in that 90 days, we also acquired 47 more fugitives to go and look for.
Okay, could you help me with how many warrants do you have in total?
That I don't know.
Not just in the last 90 days?
I don't have that number with me right now.
There's the information, half an hour.
Okay.
20 minutes will get it.
Anything else, Mr. Dean? All right. Okay, did I miss anybody? I did not. All right. Well, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate your interest in this important matter.
He's gonna call it right now. Hey, Ray. Yeah, hey. It's been a long time, man. How you doing?
Thanks, I really appreciate it.
You're good.
Where'd you get the medal? What? Where'd you get that medal one? I've had it since the day I started. I fixed it. I stamped around parts. Like, look, I made that myself.
I had one for 26 years and I lost it. Nice.
I had Tom McGeehan cut me